Hello, everybody, and welcome again to our Getting More Patients and Clients course. We are excited to talk more about specific sales strategies, things that you can do to improve your sales process. Right now, we're going to talk about how you should never just give one answer on price. And so, Greg, tell us a little bit more about why that's so critical, not to just be like, yeah, I cost X, right?
Yeah, so if you want someone to basically like end the conversation, just give them the price. So when people go, hey, how much do you cost? I cost $1,000. That's too much. Or I cost $200. That's too much. I cost $1. That's too much.
Right.
Because we're automatically trained to say, let me think about it. That's too much. Okay, this sounds like I should come back and
Right.
I don't want to make any bad decisions. Any of that stuff, right?
Right.
So never answer the question with one answer of like, well, how much do you cost? Instead, come up with options. Go, well, it depends. What are you looking for?
Right.
Right? There's a
Oh,
question.
I love that. What are you looking for?
Because I
Perfect question.
can't give you exactly the correct price if
Right.
I don't even know what you're looking for. I might not even be the best solution for it.
Yeah.
So that's where you're
So
taking
true.
a consultant's role of saying, I'm here to take care of my patient or my client, not just sell them something like a robot, right? So
I love it.
when they ask you the answer or what's the price of something, always give them a few options.
Yeah.
It could be $1, it could be $10, it could be $1,000. It depends. What are you looking for?
I love it. And that goes back to making sure that you have those all planned out, right? In our packaging and pricing discussion that we had in the last module, making sure that you have that all worked out so you know that customer journey.
Exactly.
Super critical, and that allows you to be able to give them more than one answer on price.
Exactly. So you could say, just give it a wide range, and what that allows you to do is you always want to invite a conversation because a conversation allows you to get more information on both ends, build that rapport and trust so everyone's feeling comfortable about the decision and the process. And then from there, you can come up and go, okay, well, I've got a couple options. I got this one. If you're real committed, you can do this one. If you just need kind of a basic tune-up, you do this one. But have those options so they can choose them, and then you can just ask them which one of these works for it, and just assume that they're in front of you or they're on the phone or whatever. They're interested if they're asking these questions.
Oh, and so the questions you ask are perfect. Which one of these works for you? You don't ask, is that okay?
Yeah.
Right?
How does that sound?
How does that sound? Yeah.
That's not a good one either, because what it does is it's being in a sales position is already kind of there's a lot of pressure, right, as the customer. And so by asking the customer to come up with high level decisions and pressure, they usually will fold.
Right.
So instead, you want to make it as simple and easy as possible. So you want to be the leader in the process by asking them which one of these works for you. You're kind of removing the fear of like, I don't know, how's that sound to you? There's so many things like they may be afraid to hurt your feelings. Maybe they're not sold just yet. So instead, they're going to just give you a blanket objection like, I need to think about this.
Right. Yeah, I need to think about it. Or let me talk to my husband. Or let me talk to my, whatever. And that, you kind of automatically know that you blew it. But then it's not usually always over. Start with another question, right?
Yep.
Ask a question. So when you do get an objection, even if it's not a specific one, start digging for that objection. Because if they give you that answer of like, let me think about it, that there's something in their mind that's a barrier. And so go for it. Like, it's not over till they walk out that door, really.
Well, and here's something funny. So this happened to me once, and this is where I kind of really learned this lesson.
Yeah.
Which was about the whole automatic programming. So one time I had a client, a potential client, and she wanted personal training.
Mm-hmm.
And we were discussing what we had, and I said, all right, well, which one of these programs would you like to do?
Yeah.
And she said, well, I really like the 2 times a week, but I need to go home and think about it. And my response actually was, what is there to think about? Just, you want to do it? Can you afford that? She said, well, yeah. So why don't we just do it now? She goes, okay. And so sometimes it's just as silly as just like, you got to like snap them out of the automatic response. I need to think about this or whatever.
Right.
So that's why it's important to ask the question and like, don't get too nervous about asking more questions just because they said anything about it. Or a little kid they're not scared to ask mommy or daddy 18,000 times. You know, hey, how come I can't get that toy? How come I can't go to McDonald's? We got to have kind of
Right.
that same level of comfort with just
Right.
asking, how come? How come I can't?
Right.
So I
Yeah,
can get.
no, it makes sense. It totally makes sense because we all do kind of have that, like, we're afraid of buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
And so we're like, well, let me think about it for a bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't. Whenever I say that to somebody, I rarely go back and buy that,
Yeah.
right?
Have you ever gone home and just like laid in your bed and go, you know what? Let me think about this for a second.
Right.
Very rarely. Usually, you've already made your decision when you
Right.
said, "Let me think about it."
It's so true. Yeah, you've kind of decided, you know what, I'm not ready for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And sometimes that reason is simply that nobody really asked you, like, are you ready to do it today?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I guess I am.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it's just asking the right questions, like, what, you know, if you get that response, what do you need to think about?
Yeah.
You know, like, and maybe not quite in those words, but, you know, think
Well,
of,
and tonality makes a big difference, right? Like,
yeah,
what do you need to think? What do you need to think about?
Right.
Versus like, well, what is it that you need to think about?
yeah,
Comes off different. So
Definitely.
there's different, ways of asking questions
definitely.
that can work. You can say things. Sometimes you just got to read the customer. Just
Right.
know, like,
And know how bold you can
Yeah.
be. Yeah, because some people definitely are okay with asking bold questions, and other people, you don't have to tiptoe around it, because I think that can be a problem
Yeah.
too, if you're skirting the issue. But to do so in a way that's a little bit more gentle. And that's where coming up with your 25 questions gives you a range of different ways for that bold patient, as well as for that, somebody that needs to be soft shoot a little bit more. If you have your 25 questions that you're comfortable with, that's a great way to do it.
Yep.
Okay, so there we go. That's why you never give just one answer on price. And so thanks so much, Greg.
Yeah.
We'll catch you guys in the next video, where we're going to talk a little bit more about a strategy that's kind of fun of giving and taking it back.
Yeah.
And so Greg will tell us a little bit more about how he uses that strategy. Thanks.